let's jump into this because I know that the Zeekr 7X is throwing out some ridiculously wild numbers and features that don't really add up with that price tag. Having spent time with the Zeekr, I'm genuinely impressed with it, and I've checked all of the data and the numbers here in this video, so you're going to get the real specs, not just the marketing stuff, but the actual real-world experience of the people who've been driving them and the reviewers. I should hopefully be able to release footage next month of driving one on track and off-road as well, so I'll keep you posted about that. So the first thing that blew me away is the charging. You can actually add 241 kilometers of range in literally 5 minutes, or just over 5 minutes. Now obviously that depends on the charger that you're plugged into, but the maths do check out. The 75 kilowatt hour golden battery, they call it, can go from 10 to 80% in 10.5 minutes, which is actually 100% accurate. You can definitely do that on the right ultra fast DC setup. That does mean you're pulling in about 20 kilometers of range per minute. In real life, on a 360 kilowatt charger, it might take closer to maybe 12.5, 13 minutes, but even then, you're looking at adding well over 200 kilometers on that particular sort of charger, if the battery is reasonably temperatured and that sort of stuff, and the time that it takes to grab a coffee. Also, the chargers can throttle themselves down a bit, so if you're in Western Australia or something like that, probably don't expect the charger to pump out 400 kilowatts for 20 minutes, that sort of thing. So this is obviously faster than anything that Tesla has on the road today. Secondly, the power. The top spec dual motor performance version puts out 640 horsepower, which is amazing. 637 actually, depending on the spreadsheet, but it is about 640 horsepower. So that's about 475 kilowatts if you're Australian, and it will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.5 seconds. Not quite 3.5 seconds, just a little bit over, but some people quote online 3.5, some people say 3.8, but it is about that. And it is a 2.3 to 2.5 ton car, so that's pretty good, I think. And the thing is, it's really not that expensive at all. It starts at $57,000 here in Australia. You're not paying Porsche Taycan money or BMW iX money for this kind of car, but it's very, very, very comparable. There is no way that I would be buying a Porsche Taycan if this is an offer in the same city, for example. Third, and this is something you actually use, vehicle to load. The 7X will power external devices up to 3.3 kilowatts. That's more than enough to run like tools on a job site or something like that, or an induction cooker or kettle, something like that when you're camping, or even backup when your home battery or when your house goes down and the grid goes down. These are the little real world touches, I think, that make modern EVs incredibly useful outside of driving. For example, I personally constantly stop for a cup of tea or a coffee or something like that when I'm driving around. I think it's a really nice thing to be able to do. And in Australia, when you're driving around, there are infinite amount of really beautiful stopping places with a really, really nice view. And in rural towns, plenty of blackouts happen every year. So having these vehicles, I think, could be useful for those people if you live rurally. Fourth, there's an optional safety feature that is really, really clever, but probably nobody really knows about, and it's called intelligent cockpit perception, and it's not just about the camera and the driver, obviously. Basically, there's a sensor and a camera module built into the cabin that monitors the occupants inside the car and things like heart rate somehow and your temperature. So if you've got kids in the back and something looks a bit wrong, you'll get an alert. In hot climates, obviously, where leaving a child or a dog or something like that in a car can be fatal, this sort of stuff, could genuinely save a life. It's not something that you'll see in a Tesla or a BYD at the minute, but Zeekr are kind of pushing it, and I think it's actually brilliant, quietly so. I think it's something that people will dismiss, but is actually much more interesting than people will give it time for. The warranty, Australian buyers are actually going to get a 7-year warranty, unlimited kilometre warranty, plus 7 years of roadside assistance. Standard coverage is usually maybe 5 to 8 years, something like that. So 7 years, that's pretty good. 7 years all round with roadside pickup. Then there's the price, obviously. The base model here in Australia is $57,900. Drive away, which is about £27,000 for context. That's significantly less than a Model Y, and you're going to get a lot more kit standard, and I think actually just a nicer car all round. I think it looks better, drives better, the tech inside better, everything's just better, charges quicker, everything. So yeah, it's cheaper and it's a better product than a Tesla Model Y, noticeably so, by not just me, but by basically everybody who's driven one. So Yeah, back to the charging for a second, because this is still the biggest headline, I think. That smaller 75 kilowatt hour battery is the one that Zeekr quotes for the 10.5 minute, 10 to 80% window. The bigger battery pack, the 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, takes a few minutes longer. It takes about almost 16 minutes, but it's still ridiculously fast. Either way, the claim of adding 241 kilometers in 5 minutes, that's not marketing fluff, that's not rubbish. That is actually achievable if it's not too cold or it's not too hot. Inside, the kit level is much higher than you'd expect, especially for this sort of money, which is, more so than basically probably any other car I've seen on the market in the last few years. This car has the most amount of value, I think, for your bang for your buck, I think you'd say. You get a 21 speaker sound system that has more than 2,000 watts, if this is your sort of thing. 2,000 watt sound system, 714 surround sound system as well. You've even got speakers built into the headrests for navigation prompts and things like that. So that's usually reserved, that feature, having speakers behind your head, for very, very luxurious six-figure luxury SUVs. The tyres also, the Michelin or Continentals, depending on the car you get and the market that you're in. But basically, Michelins or Continentals, which are beautiful. That's great, especially for wet weather or something like that. Let's not forget comfort as well. You can get air suspension on the higher trim, giving you adjustable ride height and a really, really, really comfortable feel. That's the kind of suspension that you get on a Range Rover, for example. The seats are heated and cooled. Again, normally that is an optional thing on cars like a Porsche or something like that, and they cost twice as much. So when you put this all together, 5 minutes top-ups and that sort of thing with 240 kilometers of range added, 640 horsepower, 3.5 seconds to 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers per hour. The vehicle to load, the extra child safety monitoring for your passengers, a 7-year warranty, starts at 57,000 Aussie dollars or 26, it's actually 26,000 pounds in the UK, 21 speaker, all of that, you've just got a really good package. On paper, shouldn't exist at this price point. It should not be less than 70 or 75 maybe. So yeah, Tesla Model Y is the obvious comparison. It is more expensive, it's slower to charge, offers less warranty, it comes with the issues with the politics and the Trump stuff at the minute, and doesn't come close on interior equipment. The Tesla Model Y is also less comfortable than a Zeekr 7X. And yeah, I think the Zeekr 7X becomes more interesting here because they're pricing it kind of like a mainstream SUV, but actually it's a luxury SUV, not a mainstream SUV. It's that good. Hello folks, my name is Ben Alexander. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate your time. I wanted to just break this one down a bit properly because it's really easy to throw around claims like 5-minute charging or supercar acceleration, but I've checked the numbers. I've been in the car. They do stack up, and I'll show you some footage hopefully next month of me driving it around a track, and that'll be fun. So here's my question to you. If you could buy this car in your country for, let's say if you're in Britain, for 26,000 quid, would you buy one? $57,000, it's a bargain. Would you take it over a Model Y, and why? Or if not, why? And, how much does 5-minute charging appeal to you? Because I think it's actually a really, really good thing to have, even if you can't quite hit that. And, it takes an extra minute or two because it's a bit hot or something like that. I think that's fine.